everybody. So yeah, I'm Hannah, red shepherdess for obvious reasons of the bright red hair. So pretty much what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about me, my journey into farming, because I'm not from a farming background, and then I'm going to talk about diversification that I've implemented on my farm, and a bit about the red shepherdess kind of brand, which is developed up from there, and mindset and success and all that jazz. So we'll go through it. So yeah, I'm a first generation farmer, and now I'm also a contract shepherdess. So I've got my own small holding. It's kind of growing. So we're on 60 acres at the minute. We own 21 acres of that, and I rent the other 50. So we've got 120 breeding ewes now, 4 Highland cows, and then everything that you would want on a farm when you were little, what you couldn't have in a house, is pretty much on my farm. So a pig, goats, chickens, ducks, everything like that. So it's a little bit of a menagerie at the same time. And then I'm a director of Your Natural Leaders, which is one of the diversification projects on the farm, which I'll go into a little bit after. So I came into farming. It'll be coming up to 6 years now that I decided to go into farming. No experience at all, no connections at all. I grew up on the Wirral, which is right next to Liverpool. It's pretty towny, and I was a proper townie. Yeah, I did a degree in animal behaviour at Liverpool, and for my whole life I wanted to work with whales. And I'd been to Canada for 6 weeks. I'd lived in a tent and studied killer whales in the wild, and it was amazing. No electricity, no running water, and it was proper adventure. It was really cool. When I came back from there, I saw a lamb born in Cumbria, and then that was kind of like the little light bulb moment. I watched this lamb come into the world, and I couldn't believe how special it was to kind of see the lamb take its first breath, to see the natural instincts of the lamb and the ewe just kind of kick in, and I was kind of sold from there, really. So I moved to Cumbria. I went for a week, actually. I had a pet border collie at the time. He was 5. Never been bothered by a sheep at all, but I thought he would make a sheepdog. He never. But I went for a week, and I stayed there for 9 months, and then I stayed there forever. From there, I got my first dog, Fraser, for my 21st birthday, and he's like my best mate. We would go everywhere together. Worked the first 9 months for free, just kind of getting to actually learn how to farm, learn how to actually act and behave around sheep and around animals, because when you've not even touched one before, it's a little bit mind-blowing. And then I built up the contract shepherding from there. Developed specialisms within that contract shepherding to kind of bring as much money in as possible. Put in diversification projects, and then just increase my knowledge as much as possible by attending anything from conferences, courses, ambassador programs, read books, listen to podcasts. And that's given me things like the SAS Next Generation Ambassador program that I was involved with. I got sponsored to go to Oxford Farmer Conference by Bayer Crop Science. And there's just been loads of opportunities, and there is loads and loads of opportunities in the industry if you look for them. And then finally, I was nominated for Young Farmer of the Year award last year for Farmers Weekly. Came into the last 3, which was amazing. Just mostly amazing, really, to be recognised within 5 years and to be nominated in there anyway, which is absolutely amazing. So yeah, pretty much, as I said, threw myself into any opportunity possible. I use social media a lot. It's been the most invaluable tool for me, really, just to kind of get to know farmers, get to know more farming systems, see how people are doing it around the country, and just made a conscious effort to just keep learning all the time and keep pushing myself constantly. A lot of challenges along the way. Obviously, I came up to Cumbria, I was a lot more Scouse than I was now. I know it's still there-ish, just about. I think I sound Cumbrian, but I walked onto this farm. I had red hair, I was a Scouser, I was a female, and I had all these factors, and I'd never been on a commercial farm ever, ever, ever. So trying to get people's perception to change was actually really hard in the beginning. It turned out to be a snowball effect, but once you do start getting yourself in there in the industry and you do start to gain respect of well-known farmers, then the word's passed on that actually you're a hard worker and you're determined to make it happen. And finance, again, I worked for free for 9 months, so that was a pretty hard one for money. I dived into the same bit for that. But I then started working in a pub a couple of nights a week, and that was amazing. So I was meeting farmers in there all the time, and I was having a crack with them all the time, getting to know them, giving them a cheeky beer for free every now and then just to be on the good side. And yeah, there's plenty of ways that you can get to know farmers without having to just go door knocking all the time. You just got to use your imagination a bit. Obviously, because I do a lot of contract work, when it gets quiet on the farm, my work gets quiet. So I use lambing time and all that jazz as the time to really build the money to kind of sort me out for the winter months when it's quieter. And yeah, pretty much overcoming them was, I said yes to everything, and I still say yes to any opportunity possible. If I can make it work, time-wise, then I say yeah, and I worry about everything else. Networked, is that okay? Is this still working? Network loads, whether that was through social media, whether it was going to farm walks, whether it was going to conferences, events like this. Applied for every program possible, really. Obviously worked in the pub, like I said. And yeah, just kept my head down and just kept grafting as much as possible. So the contract shepherding, that's built up really over the last 4 or 5 years. And I tend to keep the same clients then, and that I've stayed with the whole way through. Mostly because they were so good to me at the beginning as well, and they were so understanding and helpful. And it's just kind of that loyalty with them, really. Yeah, so downside is not the biggest wage you can draw off the farm. It's bringing in about £12 to £14 an hour, which is why I then developed the specialisms, which is November to December. Contract work's pretty quiet, but January to May I lamb, and I lamb like full time. I have like the days off that I have is normally traveling in between jobs, so I'll do like month stints at each one, and I tend to have like a day off in between them. May to October I do a lot of farm relief work when farmers go on holiday, and I'll move into the farm, or I'll just travel into the farm every day and look after everything for them there. Along with all the other contract stuff, which you can see covers a whole heap of things. And then May to October we have a lot of big income coming in from the natural leaders, which is the Diversification project I'll talk about after. But just hitting on the specialisms a little bit. Like lambing time is absolutely brilliant for me. I'm bringing in like double the amount I would normally bring in as a standard month contract shepherding. So instead of bringing in like just short of £2,000, I'm bringing in £4,000 a month. And that's why I lamb for such a long amount of time. It's like, it's hard and it's really, it drains you, but it then sets you up for the rest of the year, then it makes you a lot more financially stable. Same with relief managing. I'm looking after farms. That again, it's just a lot more of a higher income because of the responsibility. And then on to the diversification stuff, really. Red Shepherdess was never really meant to be like a brand that it's turned into. I wanted a name that people would remember me by, especially, it was mostly on social media, really, so people knew that it was me talking and they had a bit of a connection. And it took me ages to think, like, what am I going to have? What am I going to have? And I was like, sheep, you, trying to be clever with these names. And then I just had to have a little think of, like, what it was that made me, me. And then I've had red hair for, like, 11 years, and I was like, it's not there. And then Red Shepherdess was kind of born from there, really. And then it just kind of escalated into the brand that it was. So I had to kind of make a conscious decision, maybe whether to push it as a brand or whether to just keep it like, as the social media name that it was intended just to be. And there were so many things I had to consider on it. It was how I make myself stand out, how do you make a brand successful, and I think this all implies to kind of like all your businesses later on. What's going to make you different? What's going to make people follow you as a person or follow your business and keep coming back to you over and over again? And the most important thing that I ever learned was this, find the why. And there's people have touched on it already today, but it's why you do what you do. It's not what you do or how you do it, it's why. And it's really drilling into those values and beliefs as you as a person, you as a company, you as a business. Because at the end of the day, people don't buy what you do. So it says here, they buy why you do it. And you won't keep people following you, and you won't keep people coming back to your business over and over again unless you've got that loyalty there, unless you've got that trust, unless they've got the same values and beliefs as you to then follow your journey. Or to buy your meat, or to buy your milk, or to buy your wool, anything like that. Yeah, and it's really drilling into people what your purpose is. And I had to sit and I had to think, like, what's my purpose as the Red Shepherdess? What do I want to do? And I wanted to connect people. I'd been on both sides of the bridge. I'd been on the towny side, and I had no idea where my food came from. I had no idea how wool was taken off a sheep. And then I've been on the side now where I'm producing it, and I've got that frustration that everyone else has in the industry where we don't understand why people aren't supporting British produce the way they really should. So the purpose of Red Shepherdess really was to kind of push that. It was to give people an insight as to what we do on a day-to-day basis, what like love and care goes into animals, crops, what kind of effort goes in, and why we do it. And that's kind of how it snowballed, really. I give people an insight every single day into what I do, and whether that's going to feed my calf, whether that's going shepherding with the dog around the sheep, whether that's up in the fells, whether that's lambing, and people love it, and they love the little tiny day-to-day things that you would never even think that would be a big thing for as us as for on farms. And yeah, so I think that's it. It's to find out people why we do what we do. Okay. Okay. Wrong button. I'm all right now. Yeah, I think we look at a lot of businesses and a lot of companies, and we go the other way around. We go tell people what we do, we tell people how we do it, and then we kind of say a little bit about why, but we don't really brush over it that much. When really we need to be going, this is who we are, this is our values, this is what we believe in, this is why we're doing it. Then we tell them how we're doing it, and then we say this is what we produce because of that. And then massively, mindset. I think one of the biggest things in business that we forget sometimes in farming is like mindset is what drives your business, whether it's going to be successful or not successful. And it's so important that we get out of this negative mindset of we work really, really hard and we don't get enough money for what we do. And it is frustrating, it's really frustrating. And we get ourselves in such a hole about it. But then that frustration plays out every day into your business because you're going out that door, you're going in with mindset already in place, negative thoughts already in the situation and they're in place. So I learned pretty quickly that if you want to have a successful business and you want people to follow, then you have to be positive and you have to believe in what you do and you have to be wanting to do it for a good reason. And I learned a lot about being a deliberate thinker. So it's actually like getting out of bed and actually making yourself think about the positives and actually getting out and like you choose your clothes in the morning, you choose what clothes you want to put on, choose what mindset you're going to put on your head that day. Get up, go get your cup of tea. This is a good day because of this, because of this, because of this. Don't go, this is a bad day because I've got to do this. Oh, TB test is coming up, but the vet's coming. You've got to think positively because positivity breeds positivity at the end of the day. And it's just personally what I think really, really makes business and anything in life succeed, really. The fact that there's no easy roads, we all know that farming in general is not easy at all. Neither is anything in business, but we can make as much excuses as we want, but it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to put us in a hole. I've been making excuses for ages. I've been wanting to go, telling everybody that I'm going to go abroad, see some sheep abroad, and for the last 4 years I've said, no, I can't, I haven't got enough time, I haven't got enough space. And then the opportunity was presented to me like 2 weeks ago, and now I'm going to Australia on Monday for 5 weeks, just because it's there, it's been offered, why not? You can always work around it. Yeah, I've got 120 sheep to look after. Yeah, I've got these cows. But you know what? People can come in. You have people that you can trust. Everyone has people that they can trust. Get them in. Pay a little bit extra. But the things that I'll learn going away there will be like invaluable to come back to the farm than me paying someone to just look after my sheep for a little bit. Perspective, I think, is a massive, massive thing. When I was on SES, I learned loads about myself. I learned loads about mindset. I learned loads about perspective. And it's so easy to pay so much attention to the obstacles that are in your way. And again, make up excuses and say, oh, I can't do that. Look at the size of that hill you've got to climb up. Look at the size of that hill. Instead of going, hellfire, when I get to the top of that hill, I'm going to feel like the most invincible person in the whole world. Again, it's mindset. It's putting yourself in a position to say, do you know what, it might be like hell, and it might be hard, but it'll be completely worth it when you get to the top, or when you get over that wall, or when you've got your TB test all like ticked off or everything. It's all about perspective and seeing actually obstacles are not a massive thing in your way. It's just a little hurdle that you have to overcome to get to where you want to be. And interpret nerves as excitement. Again, this is another thing that I learned on this, I think. If you think about nerves and you think about excitement and the characteristics that nerves and excitement both produce, it's the same thing, isn't it? It's sweaty palms, it's a bit of fidgety, it's all that kind of stuff, isn't it? But the only thing that changes in your head is that nerves, you're panicking, excitement, you're ready. And you're in a whole different headspace when you're excited compared to when you're nervous. And I learned very quickly to harness nerves as excitement instead. Be excited, like coming up here, you can be nervous as hell speaking to all you guys, or you could be excited for the fact that I'm getting to open up and tell my story to all you. I'm improving my public speaking like every time. Like, there's always positives, and that's what I mean. I keep saying, going back to positive mindset, but it's the most important thing that you can do. And just grasping that hold of an excitement instead of nervous, you waste so much energy being nervous for things and worrying about things before they've even happened. They might not even happen. Whereas if you can just get yourself in the zone, go in there, go excited, you've got all the energy to be put into this instead, or to put into something else for the rest of the day. And then I guess for business as well, and mindset really, but I guess the biggest thing is to focus on you as a person. I think as businesses, and sometimes a lot in this industry as well, we can be so focused on what other people are doing and what the competitors doing that we completely lose focus on what we're doing as ourselves. And in the end, when you're focusing so much on the other person, you're making decisions on a whim. You're making strategic decisions that aren't quite right because you're trying to keep up with a competitor instead of actually keeping focus on who you are as a person. And without realizing, you're making your business completely unstable in the long run because you're basing it on what someone else is doing, not on your vision, not on the path that you're actually on yourself. So, New Natural Leaders, this is one of the main diversification projects we set up on the farm. It's a leadership development program. I combined my parents' world, where they do a lot of leadership stuff, and we combined it with my world, with the sheepdogs, and we put them both together. So I take people like chief executives from all companies everywhere, and I put them in a ring with a dog and a sheep, and I teach them how to work a sheepdog. And we focus on body language, we focus on communication. I will put certain dogs with certain people just to check personalities and see how they change their kind of interaction with the dog depending on what personality they're dealing with. And the best thing about a dog is it plays out in front of you. A dog doesn't mask anything. We'll all know, sheep people, when you're working a dog, you know if it's panicked, you know if it's happy, you know if it's worried, because it plays out right in front of you. They don't mask anything. So people are actually getting a chance to see how their leadership skills play in front of them. So example, I put my dog in there once, Fraser. I never did it ever again after this. It took me like 3 days to reprogram him. Put him in, and this man just shouted. He was shouting, he had no words, he didn't listen to any of the commands that I told him, and he was just like, stop, no, go, blah, blah, blah. And the dog had no idea what to do. He jumped out the ring, he jumped out the gate, and he went in his bed. And all of his colleagues were all stood there, and they went, this is what you do at work. You don't give any clear direction, you just get frustrated and you shout, and we don't get anywhere. And then this goes back inside into a facilitation area. Dad does a lot of honest stuff with them, and we draw a lot of it live as well. So whatever they're feeling, we can have open, honest, safe conversations as a team, and it's all then drawn metaphorically in front of them as well. So they take that with them, and then that's put into play. And it sounds insane, but it's so successful. It works amazing. And people email to say it's happened, it works well with the kids and everything. So yeah, so we do about 12 courses a year at the minute. And that's about £3,200 per course. So it's bringing about 40k altogether with a 15% net profit. So you're not going to get that in farming, are you, on the ground? So it's an absolutely amazing thing that brings us into our small holding. Next year we're pushing the marketing loads on it and pushing the message out. So hopefully that'll go up to 75k from there. Yeah, and that's one of the projects we run. And then the lamb boxes. So this is where I meant the Red Shepherdess brand kind of really coming into play here. And people really trusting in the brand anyway, trusting in the story, trusting that they know that animals are well cared for. And I've just started doing the lamb boxes. So this will be like the second year running with that. And it's brilliant because it goes straight to the public. It cuts out that middleman. I get a lot more money. So I'm selling half a lamb for 80 quid. To get everything done, the cost of everything for it to be slaughtered, butchered, vacuumed is £33. So if you take 15 quid off that 80, that's how much you're making on half your lamb. So you're making a considerable amount. I was selling my lambs for store at £55, or I was selling them in the auction when the prices were so up and down, and it could be making, 62 quid, it could be making 85 quid, you just didn't know. But with these, you've got a much more guaranteed, safer income. I've got like 55 people on the waiting list for this year already. And that's just because I've been pushing it under the Red Shepherdess brand. I've had the people following through social media for so long. And they know what goes into the care of the animals. They see it every day. They see it play out in front of them. And they just trust it. Inside the boxes, they get I've written a poem to make it really personal, and that explains the life of the sheep, and it explains what happens on the farm. It explains that it's 100% grass-fed, no concentrates put into it, and it also explains the importance of backing British produce and supporting local farmers. Just again to push that message out there, because I believe it's honestly our responsibility to be shouting for ourselves, really. And that's pretty much the lamb boxes. And then a little bit on social media, really. Because I guess social media has also become a bit of a diversification for me as well. It's grown, because the Red Shepherdess has grown. Now there's about 50,000 followers that follow my journey or follow the everyday life of things, and it has opened a lot of opportunities. But it's also great for everybody to be using, because it's given the general public an insight into what we do every single day. Which they don't ever get the chance to. Even when we do the natural leaders thing, we have adults that'll be 50, however old they are, and then they'll come and they'll feel a sheep for the first time, and they can't believe it. They can't believe how thick the wool is. They can't believe what they feel like in general, how they act. They pick up a chicken, they can't believe it. It's absolutely insane. I had one person didn't know an egg came from a chicken, and they didn't know that a lamb was actually from a sheep. They thought it was two different animals. This is how much of a disconnect we have with the general public and farmers. And we need to be pushing this more and more and more as an industry, everyone telling their story. It's getting there. People are pushing it, are getting there. There's a lot of people out there pushing the message on social media, but it's the whole industry to really come together and to really, really push it and to really celebrate as farmers, really. I'll probably go into this as well. Social media as well. Really important to be realistic on there. There's no point rose tinting everything, because they know it's not real. People want realism. They want real life. They want the good, the bad. And to be honest, we need to show them the good and the bad, because we need people to empathise with who we are. If they want people to support us and we want people to really believe in British agriculture, they have to have that empathy. They have to go through the bad. They have to go through the good with you to really understand what we do as an industry. So things like, if a sheep dies on my farm, I'll put on that a sheep's died. When it was snowing, I had lambs being born outside, documented the whole thing. And they love it because it's real, and they can see it play out in front of them. And then we celebrate all the good things. And it's amazing to see the people that are on this journey that celebrate with you, and they also mourn with you in a way as well. When you're having a bad day, or if something's died or something's gone wrong, it's amazing. A lot of the general public aren't out there to slander you or to make you feel like crap. There's a lot of people that want to be supporting. They just need that opportunity, and they need that kind of insight into the industry to actually do it. How am I doing for time? I'm all good. I feel like I'm rushing. And then just talking about a couple of things, really. Inspiring the next generation. Again, is a massive, massive thing for me. I didn't come from a farming background, and it has been hard. Sometimes I underplay how hard it's been, because I don't like to moan and I don't like to be crying about it. But yeah, it has been hard. There's been a lot of ups and downs. There's still a lot of ups and downs. There's still a lot of people, even on social media or in the community or in the wider community anyway, that don't believe who I am as a person. And it's hard. You're battling against negativity a lot of the time, but you have to kind of, again, mindset, positivity, you have to turn that on its head, and you have to start using that as a drive to just show them actually you're completely wrong, and just make you be more and more successful, really, and just crack on with more what you're doing. So inspiring the next generation. I get so many messages all the time asking people asking me, how did I get into farming? How do you do it? What do you do? And I think we need to be opening more and more doors, really, so it's more accessible for people to kind of have that opportunity to really see kind of what's going on, to see that you can make a actual career out of farming, not being born on a farm. And it's pretty hard. So I think as a generation now, we are a generation of experiences. We like to get our hands dirty. We like to crack on and learn. We don't want to sit in a room and just listen to lectures about how things happen. We want to get on the farm. We want to see how things are done. And like things like Open Farm Sunday, absolutely perfect, because you're getting people from all over the place the chance to come and actually see it properly for themselves. And it's invaluable. I didn't even know Open Farm Sunday existed when I was trying to get into farming. It would have been a brilliant thing. And then schools, and not just schools, kind of kids in general. So I do so much work with schools and with children, really trying to get them motivated and get them inspired by farming and about animals and where the food comes from. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones that are going to be the next people in the generation. They're the next influencers to come through. And we need them. We need their support. We need them. And they're the ones that take these conversations back home to the parents. So go into schools, have that conversation. I take my dog in there. I take a set of Highland cow horns. I take ear taggers. I take dog whistles. I take any little bits that I use on the farm, I take to the school. And I teach them all about where the food comes from. We do a presentation, but I never get halfway through the presentation because they just have so many questions that it ends up being a bit of a question and answer time instead for an hour. But then they take that home then, and then they're going around the supermarket. Their mum picks up like New Zealand lamb, and they go, well, why are we buying British lamb? Hannah came in and she talked about how important it was to go buy British lamb or to go buy British produce. And that then is influencing their parents then just from one school visit. And I've had parents message me like on Facebook or whatever they've been in, and they said, wow, this is amazing. Like my kids came home and they were really inspired. Like we planted our own like fruit and veg in the garden. We've gone and we made sure we're buying like lamb that's British or Welsh, whatever you want it to be. And you realise that you actually start having an influence. And kids are like, they've got brains like sponges. They soak it all up, and they're so enthusiastic about it. It's absolutely brilliant. But they just need to realise that there's a lot of children that you go into those schools and they have no idea that they can actually be a farmer because they have never been near a farm or they've never have anything to do with a farm. And again, we go back to the disconnection. I've been in situations where I've gone into schools and I said, look, where does your milk come from? And they go, well, from the supermarket. And I go, well, how does it get into the supermarket? He goes, oh, they just fill it up from a tap and put it in a bottle. And I'm like, right, okay, well, where does it come from to get in the tap? And they can't even tell me that it comes from a cow. They have no connection whatsoever that milk comes from an animal at all. And I'm just like, are you joking? Like, what has happened to our world that we've come this separated now and the bridge is that broken that kids can't even tell you that milk comes from a cow? It's absolutely insane. And then just wanted to touch, again, with inspiring people into the industry. I stand up here and I say, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this. But I couldn't have done it without the support of so many people along the way. And I've been supported by so many amazing people, whether that's like mentored, whether that's just being inspired, whether that's people just giving me the chance to actually prove myself at the time. And it's absolutely vital. It's vital, and I try and be that for so many people myself now, that the door's open to let people in. Like I said, when I first got into farming, I had literally no idea. And the farmer that took us on, it was Derek Scrimminger. He's a hill farmer in Keswick and a sheepdog trialer. And yeah, he was the most patient man I have ever met, and I think I will ever meet, because I was forever in the way. I didn't know where to stand, where the sheep would come in. I didn't know if I was in the way of a sheep. I didn't know that I was blocking a sheep from running past me. I had no idea. And bless him, I don't think he ever once raised his voice at me. He was so good. And I owe him so much. And he kept me there for 9 months, bless him. And he probably would have kept me longer if I'd stayed, but I had to branch out eventually. But yeah, and it's people like that we need to be more of them in the industry. We all need to be a wing for somebody. And we need to be there for when people have got questions to ask, or whether they want to just come and have a little bit of time on the farm. We say, actually, yeah, go on, come for a week. See what you think. See if you can make a thing out of it. See if it's really what you're into. Most people, it might not be what they're into. They might get on the farm, get the realization of what we're doing, and be like, actually, no, it's not for me. But some people are going to absolutely thrive on it. And you see it with kids in school. Like some of the kids that come onto the farm, onto my farm, the teacher will go, do you know what? We can't get through to them in the school. We like, whenever we're in the classroom, just switch off, they don't care, and they get onto the farm and they absolutely come to life. So I just think it's important that we keep being that for somebody, basically. And then pretty much to finish, just a little bit of where I think the industry's at and what I think we need to do. And yeah, and I think the biggest thing is to inspire, whether that's to inspire each other to keep pushing, to be as innovative, to be as efficient, to be as work smart as possible. I think one of the biggest issues at the minute as well, we're massively under a stereotype that we have to work every day under the sun. Farmers are hard workers. We work from the crack of dawn until the sun goes down. We don't get enough money, blah, blah. I think we've got to work smarter as an industry and realise actually it's fine to take time off the farm. It shouldn't be a bad thing. I know people that are on social media and they're scared to put on when they go on holiday because someone will go, oh, well, how have they got time to go on holiday? They mustn't be working hard enough. And at the amount of, I live massively by work-life balance. And I make sure that I get time to do things away from the farm because it's massively important for your mental health, it's massively important for your mindset and for your business to run properly too. You have to have that headspace away. And as an industry at the minute, we're not getting that. We're losing one person a week to suicide, and that's because of the working conditions that we're putting ourselves under. And unfortunately, we're the ones to blame for that because we're not taking the time for ourselves to look after ourselves as individuals or as an industry. So I think, yeah, it's massively important to just make sure that we're okay, each other's okay, even when it's we know people go through hard times, ask them then, but ask them when it's fine as well. When it's a little bit quieter and you haven't spoken to them for a while, just check in with people. Are you all right? What's going on? What's going down? Just because it's not the really busy times anymore doesn't mean it's not constantly in the head either. Yeah, and obviously inspiring people into the industry. Inspiring people to use British produce, to cook with British produce, to grow their own, to get onto farm, and represent and support each other, again, what I was touching on then. I think, honestly, as a community, we are so strong and we're so united. I just think we need to use that voice so much more powerfully than what we are. I think we're great at defending ourselves when the activists pike up and then they're giving us all the rubbish of what they think goes on our farms that never does. And then we're so great at defending ourselves then, but we're on the back foot then because we look like we've got our guard up and we're defending ourselves and we're like, oh, actually no. Whereas what we need to be doing is pushing our story every day like this, showing people what we do so they haven't got the chance to go, this is what happens on a farm, because people are going to get the chance to see it every day if you're opening those doors, if you're opening those windows for people to actually see it for themselves. Then they got the actual information to say, or to read the stuff that these activists are saying and go, actually, no, that's wrong because I've seen this every day on here. Yeah, and just to connect with the public. I think it's a massive, massive thing. Again, it's what I've gone about the whole time, the divide. Yeah, I think it's literally going to be one of the things that keeps British produce going, especially with such uncertain times that we've got at the minute. People actually buying what we do, buying our produce, buying our food, believing and valuing the things that we bring to the country, to the economy and everything. But that's only going to start when we really start talking and really start pushing our message to people. And again, just keep connecting with each other, keep checking in with each other that we're all right, and just taking that time away to really kind of get your headspace, really. Even if when it's like your lunchtime, instead of sitting inside in the armchair that you'd sit in all the time with your cup of tea that you'd always have, go out, go take the family, go for a picnic, even sit in your own field if you want, but just get yourself away from that normal routine that is everyday farming life and just break it and give yourself a chance to just breathe and think. And that is pretty much what I'm finishing on. If there are any questions, please fire away. Yeah, thank you very much.